Hey you folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to the first episode of our very first Let's Play for Sid Meier's Civilization Beyond Earth. I want to note that I am playing this pre-release. I'm not going to be able to actually put the videos online until, basically until release date, but it is a couple of weeks before then, so two caveats. One, this may not represent the final version of the game, and two, obviously, there's going to be a lot of mucking around, sort of half-blind, not knowing what to do. Now, I have played a lot of test games, or a handful of test games, I should say, so hopefully I'm not totally incompetent, but, you know, prepare yourself for some pretty newbie mistakes, as well as the typical, I missed something obvious on screen kind of mistakes. So we're going to hop into single player. Actually, before we go and do that, I'm going to go and make sure to turn off the music, which is very lovely, but music in these games can sometimes cause problems on the YouTube, so I'm just going to play it safe and keep it off, unfortunately. So let's go ahead, set up the game. Very much like Civilization 5. The base engine is the same, but has been heavily tweaked. Difficulty settings are as follows. I'm going to go ahead and play on Soyuz difficulty, which is going to be the same equivalent as Immortal difficulty in Civ 5. It is one step from the top. Now, I have won a couple of games so far, but it would not surprise me if we do lose. Just because, you know, again, still working out the details, so be prepared for that, but hey, losing can be fun. Standard speed and standard map size. And I have to say that the standard map actually seems to be maybe a little bit bigger than the Civ 5 map. I may be imagining things, or it may have to do with the pace that you build new cities, but standard feels really quite big. And then there's also massive. Now, it is worth noting that there are currently only the 8 factions in the game, so even on Massive, you're not going to get any more players. You're just going to get more space for each player. Now, if you haven't been following the development of the game at this point, you might be thinking, 8 factions? That doesn't seem a lot. Civilization 5 has something like 20 or 30 different civilizations. Now, do keep in mind, part of that is because there have now been 2 full expansions plus tons of DLC for Civ 5, which added a bunch more civilizations, but also in Civ 5, the civilization is kind of it. You pick a civilization, and then you're kind of done. It gives you one special ability, maybe, you know, one unique unit and one unique building. Well, now, the factions are only step 1 of the sort of overall civilization creation process. There's actually 4 steps to pick. You pick your faction sponsor. Then you pick what colonists you leave with, then you pick what kind of spacecraft you left with, and then you pick an additional cargo thing. And all those things go together to give you all your starting bonuses and starting situation. Then in terms of units, it's going to depend very greatly on what affinities you pick throughout the gameplay, and there's 3 affinities there, and each of them come with slightly different units with slightly different bonuses. So the downside is you're always going to see the same faces in the game. Like, you're always, you know, in an 8-player game, there's always going to be the Slavic Federation. On the other hand, everything else about them is going to be kind of highly randomized, and how you play the game is going to depend a lot. So, who do we pick for the first game? I'm not sure. There's a lot of really decent options. I think that Franco-Iberia on the surface seems like one of my favorites, because you get a free tech for every 10 virtues. Virtues are like social policies, although you do get them a little bit more frequently, and they're more interesting than the ones in Civ 5. So I think it might be a good one to show off. We'll play maybe more of a buildery, sort of sciencey game as Franco-Iberia here. So let's go ahead and pop to the next step, where we choose our colonists. So this gives you a bonus in every city. Not for every colonist, literally, but it gives you a base bonus in every single city. And a lot of them are really tempting. I mean, +2 science in every city. Yeah, you know, once you get high population and lots of buildings, the +2 is not as, you know, necessarily major, but +2 is always pretty good. I mean, +2 is like a library or whatever, you know, that's pretty significant. But more food means faster growth. Aristocrats, the energy and health. Health is happiness. The Civ 5 equivalent of happiness in Beyond Earth is health. It represents both physical health and also mental health. So health/happiness is what this is. So you can, you know, you can have slightly more cities, because every city has a little bit more health to offset its penalty. Same thing with artists, but these give you culture, which unlock virtues. And then engineers for more production. Lots of really, really good traits. Personally, I think I'm going to pop in artists here, because the culture will give us more virtues, and if we hit 10 virtues, we get a free technology. Technically, if we hit 20, we'll get another one as well, which we should be able to hit 20 and get a couple free techs out of this, and so we're going to do this. Plus, the virtues are fun, so we'll show this off. I feel the scientists may actually be stronger, but we'll go this route anyway. What was next? Oh, the type of spacecraft, which mostly affects your starting circumstances. Personally, I feel that the 2 strongest, well, it's hard to say. I think that life form sensors will not prove to be a super strong winner going forward. But these things are always hard to tell. You don't know how the game will develop and what will prove to be super strong. Likewise, I feel like the Continental Surveyor may not be super potent. Although if you're playing on an island type map, then it becomes a little bit more powerful. The retrograde thrusters are quite cool because you see more of your starting area, which A, means, you know, just better scouting early on. And you can choose your first starting location a little bit more precisely. It's worth noting you don't start with a colonist. Instead, you see a bit of the area and you choose the place where your spaceship lands, and that's where your city shows up. So this gives you a bit more options that way. I like the tectonic scanner because you can see resources earlier on. And while you can't work these, this is the equivalent of being able to detect copper or iron or something in Civ 5. You can't work them without the technology still, but it tells you where you might want to place cities. Although if you end up teching this stuff up pretty quick, then it's not, you know, not totally critical. The fusion reactor is quite cool. What this represents is mostly like you can buy a worker several turns sooner. That's how I read the fusion reactor. Energy is gold in this game. I think maybe just to talk about things a little bit more, we'll take the retrograde thrusters, but I actually do really like the fusion reactor. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then, yeah, our starting cargo. +1 population is just amazing because that's working an extra tile, which, assuming you have half-decent tiles, means slightly more production or slightly more science or something in your starting city. Starting with the pioneering technology, you do not start with the technology to build settlers, which are these colonist units. You need the pioneering technology for that. So starting with laboratory technology means that you can expand right away. That being said, I don't think Beyond Earth is the sort of game you really want to rush out your first city quite the same way anymore. A free clinic is cool. A clinic gives you +1 production, or +1 science and +1 health. The science is certainly nice. Starting with the extra health right away is not necessarily important because your first city is going to be fine health-wise. But it means, you know, you're basically starting with a bunch of hammers for free because you don't have to build the first clinic. That's nice. Start with the soldier right away. I don't know if this is awesome or not. I haven't decided yet. I really like the idea of starting with a free worker as well. To me, it's like a toss-up. The extra population means you're working an extra tile. The free worker means your first tile is just plain better. Your worker may be slightly at risk from alien life forms, but they don't tend to walk within your borders early on. Frankly, you know what? We're going to start with the worker. Especially, I think, with the extra vision from the retrograde thrusters, we'll be able to pick and choose our situation a bit more. And then we pick our planet. So despite the extra sort of fluff around it, we're presented here with the Terran world, so multiple continents, the Protean world, which is basically Pangaea, and Atlantean world, which is a bunch of little islands. And then they're sort of randomly generated with a name, which is what this rescan is, but it won't change what types are there. There's some extra advanced worlds that we can play as well, but I'm going to go ahead and play on a Terran world, sort of more standard experience for our first video, and just go from there. It was John Calvin who said, "There's not one blade of grass, there's no color in this world that is not intended to make us rejoice." I love the quotes in this game. Of course, obviously, very similar game to Alpha Centauri. The problem is that, you know, some people own the name, the trademark to Alpha Centauri, and that is different from the people who, say, make Civilization games these days, which is why Firaxis had to call this Civilization Beyond Earth as opposed to, you know, Alpha Centauri 2. Go ahead and pop down there. So here is our starting circumstances. Now, normally your vision radius would only be, actually, I think your vision radius would be about what this red area is normally without the retrograde thrusters. And the red area denotes where we can put our first city. And normally the red area would just be this inner little circle over here, so we can adjust it a bit. Now the game figures that the center square is a decent pick, which is why I picked that, but then it gives us a few more options. And it is very interesting to see. So let's talk about some of these resources on the map. I do have the resource icons turned on. So there are no luxury resources in Beyond Earth like you get in Civ 5. All the resources you get are either just a slight tile improvement, for example, the chitin over here, and yeah, you can say chitin if you want, it's fine, but if you want to be more correct, it's chitin. So chitin over here can be improved with the paddock, so there's like bugs basically that live here. So right away, the chitin is giving +1 food. So you can see normal grassland is 2 food. The grassland with chitin is 3 food. And if we build a paddock over here, it'll give an extra, well, it's a nut here, but +1 production. I might say +1 hammers because of, civilization, but an extra production over here. Furthermore, different technologies later on can give the paddock more things. I think there's a technology, for example, that gives paddock bonus culture, for example. So this is just sort of I think it's called a basic resource. Then we have the special strategic resources like floatstone. So this is a stack of 2 floatstone, for example. There are 3 primary strategic resources. That is the floatstone. We've got over here some xenomass, and there's fraxite or fraxite, which we don't see. Oh no, wait, they're right over here. Fraxite right over here. So all of these are required for late game units and buildings and are specifically keyed to the 3 affinities. So, oh, that's not... Right, yeah, right over here, the xenomass. So the harmony affinity tends to use a lot of xenomass. The supremacy affinity tends to use a lot of fraxite, and the purity affinity tends to use a lot of floatstone. However, it's not necessarily exclusive. Plus, if you end up with stuff that you don't use, you can usually sell them for a lot of money. Furthermore, there's also petroleum, titanium, and geothermal strategic resources that you can't start off by seeing. You've got unlocked technologies, and they get used for a few things as well, especially building and that sort of thing. Anywho, let's take a look at where we might want to start. It's like Civ 5, the cities can eventually grow to work tiles 3 tiles away, so you sort of keep that in mind. So if we were to settle all the way north over here, we wouldn't actually get the floatstone. This is a 9 stack of floatstone. Very nice, though. Most likely we'll want a city up here to take advantage of that at some point. This over here is a Derelict Settlement. This is sort of the equivalent of a goody hut. They come in several different flavors in this game. We will have to send an explorer unit over there, and simply walking into it is not enough. We'll have to build an expedition on there. There's also a resource pod over here, which is probably the most similar to a goody hut. You just walk into it with any unit and you get some sort of bonus. We've got another one over here, and that's all that we can see. Now, I don't feel like there's a whole lot we can grab. I feel this is actually a bit of a weak sort of starting circumstance. One thing, though, and it's really hard for me to get away from this, unlike Civilization 5, there's not really a reason to build on a river. I don't think there's a trade bonus. I might be wrong, but I haven't really noticed anything like that. And the other thing is, you can see that the river tiles do give you +1 energy, and if you settle on here, you don't really get to take advantage of that. So it's almost better to settle sort of off it, build farms or whatever along the river, and you get slightly better tiles. I'm very tempted to settle here, which will give me the chitin a little bit faster than if I settled here. Furthermore, we'll get to this floatstone. Now, 2 floatstone is not a lot, but in any case, if you build a floatstone quarry on this, you get +3 energy on this tile, which is not bad. Fraxite, you get +3 science, which is great. And xenomass, you get +3 food. And, I mean, lots of food is really, really good, although we might run into some happiness problems. As far north as we can get, well, that's not a workable tile. There is this gold, which is not a terrible tile, which can be approved to give extra culture. So something like this might be a spot, just to get that gold later. I think I like this because we'll also get the basalt if we settle right over here. We get the chitin, the basalt, 1 floatstone, and 2 of the fiber. That's probably a better location, but in the interest of just starting the Let's Play, let's go ahead and click right there. So we land. The shuttle pod here says FRXS, Fraxis, of course. Lots of references to different things. And by default, our home city as the Franco-Iberians is Le Coeur, the heart. And there we go. We do start with 2 units. We start with our worker because we chose that. And we start with our explorer over here. Explorers, just like most ground units, or most infantry units, have 2 moves, but of course they also ignore terrain penalties. And they start with 1 expedition module. Expedition modules are what you use to dig up things like these derelict settlements. Once you use up your expedition module, you can only reload it if you walk back into a city. You can unlock various things later on that give you additional expedition modules, which mean you have to go back to the city less frequently. Now, I will point out that this derelict settlement is has miasma on it. If you mouse over, if you look over here, you can see it's got miasma. And there's quite a bit of it around the terrain over here, all this cloudy green stuff. Miasma will do 10 hit points worth of damage to your units at the start of a turn if they start in there. So actually, we're actually standing in miasma right now. So they can kill off units. So you do have to be aware of that. Ideally, I'm trying to remember, it may take 5 turns to dig up a derelict settlement. In which case we can do it before the miasma kills us. So we may go ahead and try to do that. I think what we'll do is we'll move north and try to pick up this resource pod in any case, and do that. It is weird. It is unusual to start with this much vision, though. That the retrograde thrusters, it's almost less about being able to position your city more and more about just getting the initial vision. So our worker unit is on the grassland river fiber tile, which can be improved with a plantation, and that seems like an excellent idea for us to do that, so we're going to do that. Meanwhile, Le Coeur wants, or Le Coeur, depending on whether you're, French-Canadian like me, and have a wonky accent. So, we can change our tile allocation. We can set a focus as well. We can say, hey, focus on food, focus on production, culture, whatever. Right now, the tiles are all... It's all going to work the same one. Here's the tile that's being worked. It's working the fiber because it's actually got a pretty good collection of stuff. Unless we wanted to go ahead and purchase the chitin right away, which we can't because we didn't start with the 100 energy, just so that we could work the 3 food tile, which would not be bad. This is clearly the best tile to be working. It's going to be improved. I can even force the government to, lock this tile. And then we can sort of still... No, we can't. It's really weird. Once you lock a tile, you can't set a hard focus. Although, I believe if you go and click these, it won't highlight things and it won't tell you the focus, but it will still treat this as a soft focus for anything that's unlocked. It's kind of a weird UI thing. But, there you go. We can see a list of buildings over here. One of the things that I feel is that the list is, really big and chunky. This is a big listing for these buildings, so you have to do quite a bit of scrolling if you want to look through the list later on, but it still looks nice. And we can also turn on the production queue by hitting this, and then we will now now we have to first choose a production. So we could start with the Old Earth Relic, which I think would be an excellent choice for Franco-Iberia because we do get bonuses for more virtues. So this just gives you +2 culture. It's basically like a monument. And here's the clinic building that we could have started for free. +1 science, +1 health. Obviously something we're going to want to get relatively quickly. In Civ 5, you would probably start with a scout right away. But I think I'd much rather get the extra culture to start off with. And then we might build a second explorer. We'll see how it goes. So you can see I've got a production queue and I can add to queue. That's if this checkbox is clicked. You might also have it off, in which case there's no queue whatsoever. I will point out with these resource icons, if you go over here and you take this little eyeball on the map, this is what is causing the resource icons to be visible. Normally, all these things would be off, and the map looks fine. But I have a hard time spotting resources sometimes, and especially on YouTube, I think that it would be much better if the resource icons were turned on. Also, something I would have really liked from Civ 5 is artifact icons turned on. Specifically in Civ 5, I would like this for the archaeological sites to be able to see. So I like to leave those all on like that. The resource pods, for some reason, don't get a pop-up. And I also like to turn on the hex grid. It does make the view a little bit less pretty, but I feel like it's just makes it, just a little bit easier for me to plan my stuff. So that's the way I like to play it. There we go. Some pop-ups were here. Resource pods discovered, letting us know about that. And also the victories updated. We're going to talk about that in a moment. My apologies to anyone who's already been following a lot of Beyond Earth development, that the first couple of videos here will be a lot of intro stuff. Hey, speaking of intro stuff, here is the tech web. There's not a tech tree in Beyond Earth, and it's one of the biggest changes in the game. It's really weird. I think this might be one of the bigger barriers to sort of being adopted as a really widely popular with a lot of new people. A lot of people who may have not played a strategy games before may have picked up and been able to play Civ 5 because A, it's about history and, sort of repeating history, and people can get that. It's like, yeah, okay. And also the technology tree sort of, makes logical sense. Hey, we just settled here. Why don't we learn, mining? That sounds like something straightforward. I know what that means, and so on and so forth. And it happens in order. But here, this is the future. We don't know how the future will develop. So we have a web. Also, it doesn't help that some of the names are, like, what does fabrication mean? And Robotics, okay, I know what robotics sort of is, but what the heck could I possibly give me in this game? I don't know. And just the fact that you can explore in all sorts of different directions. There are branch technologies, which is what you sort of go. So if I want to get terraforming, I have to unlock ecology first, and that will lead me to terraforming. And then they also have leaf technologies. So under ecology, there's geophysics and alien biology. Now, those do not link to any other technologies, and they're also more expensive. You can see ecology is 32 turns right now to research, 95 beakers. But if I want alien biology, it's 249 beakers, quite a bit more. Now, obviously going out like multiple rings to higher tier techs is also more expensive, but there you go. The leaf technologies tend to have your things that lead you towards an affinity. We'll talk about those more later. For example, alien biology will give us some harmony affinity. The branch technologies never do. The branch technologies do unlock the basic unit types. We start with the soldier, the regular melee infantry unit unlocked. Computing will give us the missile rover, which is basically a siege weapon that has to be set up before firing. Engineering will give us the combat rover, which is slightly faster. It moves 3 instead of 2. Also slightly stronger to start off with. I believe our soldier's a strength of 8. I might be lying to you though, so don't take my word for it. Physics will unlock the ranger, which is basically an archer type unit, very weak in melee but can shoot. Does not need to set up like the missile rover does. Missile rover is a little bit stronger, also has some bonuses fighting cities, I believe. And where's the tac jacket? I don't remember. It's not under engineering. Hang on. Oh, it's robotics, right. Robotics, which is a higher tier thing and slightly more expensive, will unlock the tac jet, which is your fighter / bomber type units that can be specialized further overall. And somewhere there's also a boat type unit. Where is the gunboat? You can see that I'm just starting. Oh, that's the one under computing. Computing will give you, not just the missile rover, but also the gunboat, which is a ship, you know, goes on the seas and has ranged combat, for example. So those are all the basic units in the game. Now, they're also under the leaf technologies. That's where you also unlock your affinity-specific units. So alien adaptation will give you the Xenoswarm down here. Now, not only do you have to get this technology to unlock it, but you also have to be level 4 harmony to be able to build Xenoswarms. So there's a couple of different requirements there. The Xenoswarms are melee units, just like soldiers, but will be more powerful than the soldiers. All of the affinity-specific units are much more powerful than their base counterparts and tend to have slightly more unique abilities as well. But we're going to wait for those a little bit more. You can also improve. So there's never another plane. Like the tac jet, that's the only plane, basically. Ignoring anything that might come out in Affinity. There's just the tac jet. You might say, well, that's a little bit weird. In Civ, you know, you start off with a warrior, and then you go up to, I don't know, pikemen and musketeers and all these things. Well, what happens instead is you do get upgraded versions of units as you go forward in your affinities. Now, so you start off with a basic soldier. Once you get to the first level of any affinity level 1, your soldiers will all upgrade to Marines, which have 4 extra strength. So there, your soldier has a strength of 10, the Marine has a strength of 14. So simply by unlocking the first level in any affinity, we'll get +4 combat strength on our basic melee units. Furthermore, we'll be able to choose one of these 2 bonuses, either 15% bonus when attacking, or an extra 5 points healed every turn. Instead of basic 10 points per turn, we would heal 15 points per turn, which this sort of stuff is actually really handy. And then when we get to level 6 in an affinity, it'll either go to Brawler if we're affinity, or it'll specialize to Sentinel, or it'll specialize to Disciple. Now, all of these will get +10 strength on top of what they already have. Furthermore, they get to pick another bonus, and these are a little bit more specialized. So right now we only have the soldier. So at level 1, our soldier improves. I think at level 2, our combat rover improves, the one that's slightly faster, basically the cavalry, and so on and so forth. I'm pretty sure at every level of an affinity, you will improve your units slightly. So that's how you can, that's where you get your unit variety from. It is very different mentally to get around compared to Civ 5. Anyway, let's go ahead and skip to the next turn at this point. And the other thing that's very different in Beyond Earth is the other civs don't start in the same turn as you. In the next 10 to 20 turns, the remainder of these factions will land on the planet. The later they land, the more bonuses they will start with to sort of balance things out. It's very interesting. You also get to see where everyone spawns, which is very different. Right now, there's not going to be able to anything we can really negotiate, but Ronaldo of Brasilia And I'm quite happy actually landed quite far away. Brasilia's faction bonus. Way over here, basically the opposite side of the world. Brasilia's faction bonus is plus 10 melee combat strength. So they can be a bit of a handful early on. So I'm very happy we're not going to face them. Unit wants a few more orders, so we're going to move up to this resource pod. I'm just going to move up 1 tick because I want to avoid ending a turn in miasma over here. So let's go and pop this goodie hut. Boom! So there was a portable reactor and a fuel source inside of that, and we got 50 energy. Which I'm not going to complain about too much, actually. You can also get science and production, I think, out of those. Maybe just production. Maybe the science comes from the expeditions mostly. But the extra energy is not bad. In fact, we could go and buy the chitin right now and just start working that for the extra growth. But I think we're going to save up our money. I think that's going to be a lot smarter. We're going to put a cut in here, and when we get back, we're going to talk about quests. See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.